everybody. Merry Christmas. Thanks for coming. So the leadership team is standing back there in the back. Is it okay if they sit amongst you? That's okay, isn't it? We're all friends. Come on, step towards the front even, everybody. Yay! Let's give them all a big hand. There we go. I bet there's even leadership team that you don't know.
I bet there is. We're trying.
Who's the human resources director? Anybody know?
No.
Anybody? Any residents know?
No.
No? Kim Ogden is the human resources director. For how many associates?
407.
407 associates. And I will tell you that Kim is the best human resources director in the industry, really. Probably the country, right?
The universe.
The world, the universe, all that. Everybody knows Bridget, security director, yes? And Ruth, community life services. Right? Ruth Van. Robin, health and wellness director. All of you know her. Stephanie, environmental services director. Sarah, associate executive director. Yeah. Who am I missing? Oh, Danny. Who's had IT problems this year that Danny has helped with? Oh, Danny, stand up and take a bow.
Abel.
Yeah, Tissa.
And Liz.
Tissa is our new director of nursing. Where's Tissa? And Abel. Who's had plant ops problems that have been solved this year? Oh, okay, Abel, there you go. And who else? Liz. Who, wait, don't stand up, Liz. Who wants to guess what Liz does? Come on, one of the residents guess. Accounting, yes. Now you stand up, Liz, take a bow. That's right, she sends out the bills. Thank you, Liz. Oh, that cut down on the applause quite a bit, didn't it? She also pays all the bills and keeps the lights on and everything. Yes, that's good. Who else we got? Is that it? That's enough. Brian's around here, somebody. Brian, food and beverage. He'll be here, I think, a little later. And then Jordan, marketing and sales. And then Rachel Gill, our life enrichment director. Lots of good folks, right? All right, so this is my shot in the arm of Christmas, right? I need a shot in the arm, so I need you to help me. I told the leadership team, I keep getting a little bit of Christmas feeling, and something will happen, and it kind of just gut punches me where it's gone, and then I'll get it back. And the residents and associates and the gift giving and all the things we do as a community kind of help me at Christmas time and really give me a shot in the arm. So that's kind of what this is about. I know you like to ask questions and get answers, but today I just want to have a little fun, tell a little humor. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Maybe some of the leadership team will share a story, and hopefully some of you will share some funny stories. Doesn't have to be funny. It could be just reminiscing, which is perfectly fine. But I always like to start off our meetings with a little humor, right? So we'll do that. I no longer keep a naughty or nice list. I'm only concerned with who friends me. Santa Claus is using tech now as well. We'll call 911, but first let's discuss our demands. This is how you get on the nice list. Bigger cookies. Didn't know that. Hope your Christmas is full of family and fun. Good luck combining those two. Been there. I wasn't in a bar. I smell like smoke because I've been going down chimneys all flippin' night. She doesn't look like she believes him. This is how Santa really finds out which reindeer can fly. Dang, let's try another one. That's a rough way to learn, isn't it? All they had was carrot cake. Remember the good old days when reindeer games were leapfrog and tag? Honey, our lawyer wishes us, but in no way guarantees, a Merry Christmas. Hey, are you thinking what I'm thinking? That's terrible. That's terrible. If you raise your naughty, nice standards, you'll save billions on toys this year. Santa's accountants recommend budget cuts. Did you eat all your beans? 15 cans. That's horrible. What a horrible way to treat Santa. We can stay home this year. Everyone is getting music, movies, games, and apps they can download from my website. Job evaluation day. Slow, bad attitude, and lazy are all hanging on the wall. I'm glad we don't evaluate folks like that. Frosty, no! I stopped a bit too quickly and Santa wasn't wearing a seatbelt. All of you wear seatbelts? You should. Yes. Whether you're behind a reindeer in a car, you should wear your seatbelt, right? No, I said off to the Schmidt house. Working over the holidays, off and on. There's Brian Grossman walking in. Let's give Brian a big hand. All right. Oh my God, they're eating noses. There's carrots through the window. Hay runs with buffalo, come and meet flies with reindeer. Getting socks when I was 10, which is true. Getting socks now, best gift ever. I see naughty people. Mr. Claus, you're named in a class action lawsuit for discriminating against the naughty. I can see that happening nowadays. I've been good, let's just leave it at that. My lawyer has advised me not to answer any more of your questions. New plan, we give out the lollipops after. Hello, employment agency, there's been a mistake. I asked for 100 elves. Christmas group therapy. I don't believe in myself. I think I'm bipolar. All the other reindeer laugh and call me names. I'm trapped in a dead-end job. If you get lumps of coal, is it because you've been bad or you believe in domestic energy independence? Any of you get lumps of coal for Christmas as a gift? Never, because you're all good kids. I know. Peace on earth, goodwill towards men, there's an app for that. If I've told you once, I've told you a million times, Rudolph, no texting while you're driving the team. My butt fell asleep. I know I can hear it snoring. My grandfather used to blame it on elephants. Elephants. Did you see the elephant run under my chair? The stockings were hung by the chimney with care in hopes Amazon Prime soon would be there. Every family has one weird relative. If you don't know who it is, then it's probably you. All of you have a weird relative? Raise your hand if you have a weird relative. Somebody that's just a little touch, bless their heart. Yeah. A lot of you didn't raise your hands, but I feel like you might be the not judging or anything. So here's a picture of me and my wife Carrie And that box of Thin Mints there reminds me of our first Christmas together. And you can see her in the blue there, and she looks like she's really unhappy. And my mom is a fantastic cook, but this year she decided to put raisins and wild rice in the stuffing, the dressing. And my wife didn't like it, clearly. And then I said to somebody, I guess it was a mistake, I said that I really like Thin Mints. And I got 12 boxes from different people of Thin Mints. And my girlfriend at the time, she's, what's wrong with you? Must have bad breath, I guess. So this guy is the one in our family that was just a little touched, bless his heart. And that's my Uncle Kenny. And when I was 6 years old, I was scared to death of Uncle Kenny because he was very boisterous and just kind of all over the place and would touch the top of my head and mess up my hair and all this stuff. And when I was 6, we had a blizzard in Missouri. We had a couple feet of snow, and everything, it was right around Christmas, and everything just stopped. And Uncle Kenny got out in his truck and put chains on his tires and filled his truck bed with cinder blocks and took everybody's Christmas around to them. So then he became not so crazy after all. He became the nice uncle. But for a long time I was scared of him. That's me as a toddler. And my grandparents, and some of you might have heard this story, but my grandfather, right there, my grandfather Henry, he and I both liked that banana cake right there in the middle a lot. And when I would go to my grandparents' house, we would always have afters, which was dessert after our meal. We would always eat at 11:30, and we would have bologna and cheese sandwich or some kind of sandwich. And I've never been able to duplicate that bologna and cheese sandwich in all these years. It was always so good there. But I knew that there was going to be banana cake afterwards because that was my favorite. And my grandfather would always hide it in the back of the fridge, and he would put the Jell-O in front of it. And so he would pull out the Jell-O and put it on the table for afters, and he would look in the fridge and like, that's it, that's all there is, kids, there's nothing else. And my grandmother would come through and she said, Henry, get that banana cake out of that fridge, give that boy a slice. And so he would do that. That little pedal car there, that baby blue pedal car, my grandma Forrest, up the right-hand side there. I asked for a baby blue convertible pedal car, and she couldn't find it where we live, so she drove all the way to St. Louis, which was 2 hours away, to find it for me and brought it. That was a really special Christmas.
Still have it?
No, I wish I did. There's our Isabella on the float in the Salado Parade. And there's a picture of her with Mrs. Wright when she was just a youngin'. She's turning 16 next March, which is really scary for me. Everybody remember these stockings? Yeah, those were good, weren't they? So this basket, we have a tub that we receive all of our Amazon packages from. And, anything that's delivered to the house, it's a package that doesn't fit in our mailbox, they're supposed to put in our tub. This was during the pandemic. And the guy who was delivering, the UPS guy, was getting a little frustrated with us. And I'm walking in the yard with my son, who at the time, I guess, was 14. And the guy yells over the fence, "How much crap do you need?" I told my wife, I said, we've got to do something to thank the delivery people for delivering all these gifts, because I think we're driving them crazy. And, they're probably tired of looking at our house, so we came up with this little basket idea, and we put snacks and drinks in it, and it sweetened them up for the rest of the season, because at one point they were just opening the back of their truck and throwing stuff into the driveway. It was pretty rough. So Kind of like the UPS people probably feel like this place, huh? But that's a lot of people here, so maybe not so bad. That's our Christmas tree in our living room. How many people know that I like to decorate for Christmas? Yeah, all of you? Pretty much. So I do as much damage at my house as we do here. This is our yard. Yeah, it's a lot in it. But I have 8 grandkids, so I take them on a hayride and we go through the Christmas lights around the house, and then we have, in the pasture, we have about 30 acres of pasture with about 20 trees on it, and we decorate those trees with solar powered Christmas lights. And so we do hay rides and we sing carols. Yeah, there's some more of it, different angle. And that's what we kind of do during the Christmas season. That's it. That's not terribly. I mean, it's about 50,000 lights probably. But it's, and I don't have, well, I have my son Ben that helps me usually, so that's who works on it. This is our party. And the gingerbread people, I got my picture taken with them. And I have, most of you, have you all been to Salado at Christmas time? No? So we went there for Isabella's float, and they had a Christmas parade, and it was really neat how they decorated the town. So if you get a chance, I've got some pictures of different towns and their Christmas decorations. So if you get a chance to go visit, there's some really neat towns. This is Georgetown. How many of you been to Georgetown at Christmas time? It's beautiful. And they decorate the trees, each branch. And the square is very active. It's really fun. It's fun really all year long, but especially on second Saturday, they do a big vendor expo and people bring their homemade goods and everything there. It's really nice. So if you ever get a chance to go up there. And this is Johnson City. Pertinalis, who is my electric company. Now I know what my bill is paying for. This is also Johnson City, how they decorate their courthouse is really neat. Anybody been to Marble Falls at Christmas time? That's a really neat little walk through. All right. Time to tell some funny stories. Who's next? All right.
This may not be very nice. Can we roast you a little?
Roast me? Sure. Absolutely.
I want to see the gingerbread man with you again.
Okay.
Makes you look small.
Well, I like it. Yeah. Can we go back to that picture? I do look small next to them. You're right. Yes. No, you are right. They made me look really good. Not really, but. Come on, somebody else. Okay, we'll just leave it there for a minute. Who else? Come on.
By the way, Lois and Olga are here.
Olga, where's Olga?
There's Olga and Lois at the.
Olga, Community Support Director. Stand up and take a bow. There you are. Running all the reception desks. And Lois, putting up with me at Christmas. Even if I am as big as a gingerbread man. Who else? There's more to me to love, you know. That's a good thing. Maybe.
I've pretty much given up sending Christmas cards, but I still get a few from friends. And one rather strange friend sent me a very nice looking card. I opened it up, and what was say inside said A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V. I puzzled it. So I called him and said, hey, appreciate the card, but I don't understand the message. He said, Noel.
Ah. Very good. And he got you to call him.
I guess we've all been involved some way or another with the Christmas pageant. You know, everybody, they get out the bathrobes, put on the kids and the towels and it's all the little angels all around and everywhere. Well, this particular Christmas pageant, all the angels are there, and now we're down to the wise men. And the wise men, the first one comes out and he says, I bring gold. And then the second one comes out and he says, I bring myrrh. And the third one comes out, gets his line. You know, he stands there a little while. And then he says, Frank sent this.
Okay.
I like to tell this is a good story. When I was a little girl, I loved to get the Christmas tree, and I couldn't be without a Christmas tree. So if Dad or Mom would think we'd get a Christmas tree, I'd go up and I'd find one up with a pharmacy or a little drugstore, and I'd drag it home. And so when I was in college, I was coming home, and I said, Mom, we gotta have a tree. No, I've gotta have a tree. So I walked up and I was pulling on the tree, carrying the tree down. Oh, I'm sorry. I was carrying the tree down, and my stockings started to go down. So I'm trying to hold on to my stockings and hold on to the tree at the same time. But I did make it home, so we decorated the tree, and I took it back. But my sister, last year, she surprised me and sent me a card for Christmas with a picture of myself and her sitting by our tree one time. She said, don't you remember how you always had to go get the tree? So this past week, we call each other on FaceTime. She called and she said, and so everybody in her family, all her children and nieces and nephews, they were all on Zoom or something. I thought they were there, but they weren't there. But they were there. So they're all their pictures they're showing, and she said, I have to show you something. So she shows me the picture. She got a tree, and she's 86 years old. First time.
Awesome. Everybody's really shy this year.
I'm going to tell, my wife said, he'll tell this story.
Oh, please do. Those are the best. Anytime you're embarrassing the wife, that's good.
So in 1979, we had moved to San Antonio, where I was the pastor of a new church, and we had a tree in the church temporary office, and it died. So I go to Wolf Nursery in those days in San Antonio, and I buy a tree and bring it home. And on Christmas Eve, that tree had died. Literally, it was brown. I take it back, they guaranteed the tree. So I take the tree back, they give me my money back, and as I'm walking out, someone comes up and they sell the tree to that person. Corporate America.
That's business.
I'm the first of the baby boomers, and when I finished high school and I thought I'd better go to college, I decided I'd go to a school because I didn't want to be a number, and I had a friend who went to the University of Dayton, Ohio. And I thought, oh, the University of Dayton, that's like CCNY. The City College of New York. It's a city college, university. And I applied and they accepted me, and when I got the acceptance letter, I noticed in the top left-hand corner was Jesus on the crucifix. Now, being Jewish, I thought, oh no, this may be an issue. But I went, that's because that was the only college I went to. And at Christmas Eve that year, I decided I would go to Mass with one of my roommates, where people lived on the floor, and we went to Mass. And all of a sudden, my friend kneels down and starts pounding his chest. And I'm thinking, oh no, Don, you're having a heart attack. How do I do? I was later to learn that that's called genuflexing. And so I was somewhat relieved.
Ruth, I think up here, Mr. Iverson. Come on, leadership team. One up yet.
When we lived in England for 4 years, Judy was a teacher in a very interesting school. They had taken a section of central Manchester, a very poor section, and they built a new town outside and transported all the families there. And they had a school there. And as you know, the 1944 Education Act said, in England, says religion must be taught in every school. So they had daily lessons in religion, and of course a big holiday, and they had very thick Lancashire accents, which Judy couldn't understand. So she had to have one child as a translator so she could communicate. Well, since she was the only American, they said, why don't you be in charge of our Christmas pageant this year? So Judy agreed, and she decided to do something new. She said, we're going to go over the story again and again, and then you won't have to learn any lines, because you've gone over it so much, you know what you are to say according to the story. So the children practiced, and everybody from Manchester showed up at this school. I took the day off from classes to see it myself. And it was going brilliantly, until at one point, Mary threw Joseph a curveball. It wasn't in the story. She said, Joseph, Joseph, baby Jesus is crying again. Well, you could see the wheels turning in his brain. This wasn't in the story. Finally, he pulled himself together and said, he's a bugger, our Jesus.
Sing one for the team.
Yay, Danny. Wow. All right.
This is supposed to be something that might be comical, so I do have a silly story about myself. And my wife thinks it's hilarious, and y'all just might feel sorry for me. So there was a time where I had a fairly large backyard. My children were in elementary school, and there was an afternoon where my wife and I and the kids were just in the backyard, and everybody was kind of doing their own thing. And sometimes there's things that just I will do almost involuntarily, but that for some reason I just feel I must do that. So my wife tells this story at family gatherings, and she just thinks it's the most hilarious thing. So we were in the backyard. There's toys scattered out across the yard, and one particular toy was called a hippity hop, and a hippity hop is a fairly large 3 to 4 foot inflatable ball with a handle on it. So it was sitting in the middle of the yard, and something came over me, And my wife says that she could see me from a distance and could read my mind, and she knew what I was going to do. Well, I took a running start, and I thought I was just going to launch myself off of that hippity hop and jump over something else that was in the yard. So it happened really quick. So I took off running and jumped. I hit that hippity hop, and I was not launched in the direction that I thought I was going to go. So I ended up, flat on my back, and it was a painful experience for me, but I looked over the yard, and my wife and both my kids were just dying laughing.
For all the people that here that are not native Texans, you have to bear with me on this story. My favorite aunt had a little son, and Leon didn't ever seem to be the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree. But my aunt was friends with June Carter Cash, the wife of Johnny Cash, who used to be a very famous country western singer. So Johnny Cash and his troupe came to my hometown of Fort Worth, and Aunt Inez brought Leon to the concert. Well, Leon had been working around the house and working with neighbors and so forth, earned enough money to buy a white felt big cowboy hat. And so Leon was very excited to go to the Johnny Cash concert, and he wore his hat. After the concert, my aunt wanted to visit with June Carter Cash, so Aunt Inez and Leon went backstage and waited, and Leon was standing off to the side, and he was just, 12 years old. He was kind of bored, and his aunt, my aunt, and his mom were talking with June Carter Cash, and Johnny Cash walked up. And he saw Leon's hat, and he said, "Oh, let me see your hat, boy." So Leon pulled off his hat and handed it to Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash whipped out a Mark's a lot, autographed the hat, handed it back to Leon. Leon looked at that hat, and he said, Mama, that man wrote all over my hat."
You're welcome to boo this one if you want. What do you call a kid who doesn't believe in Santa? A rebel without a clause.
That was pretty good. Oh, good. That side's been really quiet.
So this is a story from 27 years ago, and it's about a pageant at First United Methodist Church. And we had 2 grown children that went to that church. Our older daughter had a little girl that was 3 named Janae, and then our son had a little baby at Christmas, 3 months old. So our son and his name was Parker. So our son and his wife were Mary and Joseph, and Parker was the baby Jesus. So our daughter and her daughter was out in the audience, and down come Parker and his parents down to the front, and the preacher says something about baby Jesus. And my granddaughter yells out, "That ain't baby Jesus, that's Parker."
So this goes back 30 plus years ago. It was our first Christmas together after being married. And Isabel, for a few weeks before Christmas, kept asking me, well, what do you want for Christmas? And my neighbor had a Porsche that he drove, and then he had a Porsche that he was building in his garage. And I like sports cars, and it wasn't just because it was my neighbor's. So each time she asked me, I'd like a Porsche. Just joking, being a little sarcastic. And then I decided I never was going to answer her question other than, I'd like a Porsche. She kept asking me, what do you want for Christmas? A Porsche. Mom, be reasonable. What do you really want for Christmas? So I may have answered that question or not, but on Christmas morning, we opened up the presents, and we kept them secret from each other. And there was an itty-bitty box there with my name on it, all wrapped up. So I opened it up, and sure enough, it was a Hallmark ornament that was a little Porsche.
Sarah.
Well, this is a true story. In an Austin Episcopal church here, there was rehearsal for the pageant. And we've heard several stories about the pageant and the angels and all others. But this is a story about the three kings. And in this rehearsal, two kings processed down the aisle, and the third king came dressed perfectly as Elvis. And this was, I'm going to tell you, this is Michael Hahn. Now, Michael Hahn presently is the bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of New Mexico. And I am always happy to tell this story about the king to other bishops and other Episcopal priests, so that they can come and say, I know your history.
This is a true story. Back in the early 2000s, when I was church administrator of First Presbyterian Church in Raleigh, we had one of those infants in North Carolina sleet storms. Generally, these storms would usually dissipate by lunchtime. About halfway through the morning, the minister sends a note out, we will still have services tonight. And if any of y'all know ministers, they don't like to cancel Christmas Eve services, especially because the offering plate is liable to be pretty heavy that night. So as the morning went on, it looked like it might not. So Judy and I hopped in the car, and there had been a lot of limbs cracking around our house, so we put the saws in the car just in case there might be a limb in the way. Sure enough, when I got to church, a gigantic limb was blocking the driveway. So I get the saws out, and I saw, and I haul, and I saw, and I haul, and put sand and snow melt all on the steps and everything. Service was supposed to start at 5 o'clock. At 4:30, the minister calls, hey, Charlie, we cancel services tonight.
That's dedication.
I'm coming.
Well, since Patricia's not here, I'll tell this story. She was a high school student in Wichita Falls, and they had a Christmas parade, and she was one of the angels. And it was a typical West Texas parade with pickup trucks. And so she was standing on a crate or something in the back of a pickup truck with her wings out. And two little boys were the shepherds down below in the bed of the pickup truck. One of them was a younger brother of her boyfriend. And when they turned the lights on her, you know what lights look like when they go up your face? And this little boy looked up and he said, now I know why the angels were so afraid.
Well, all this talk about Christmas pageants and plays made me remember, I grew up in El Paso, and I went to First Presbyterian Church. We didn't have a pageant, but we had a Christmas play. I must have been about junior high age. And the woman directing the play was taught out at UTEP, and she was quite good. And the play was called No Room at the Inn. And I had a very tiny part. I was the wife of the innkeeper. The innkeeper happened to be a young student named Murray Abraham, who later went on to be F. Murray Abraham, who won an Oscar for Best Actor. So that was my moment of fame.
You talk about a sleet storm, it reminded me, this did not happen at Christmas time, but my dad let me borrow the Toyota Corolla, and I went to a party at a friend's house in the winter, and it came a sleet storm, and I could not get the driver's side door open because it had frozen shut. And I thought I would be smart, and I went in the house and got some hot water to pour over the driver's side door, and I hit the window with just a little bit of it and shattered the window. It was a cold drive home and a cold stare from my dad when I explained what happened. He eventually forgave me, though. That's good. Welcome, Joe Sanchez, Assisted Living Director. Well, everybody else was welcome. Assisted Living, that was deficiency-free on their survey last week, so congratulations. Most of the leadership team's been really shy. Joe, do you want to tell a story? You tell a story.
It's a Christmas story.
It's a Christmas story, Joe.
Don't go.
So, I don't know how many are aware, but The Exorcist was released on Christmas Day in 1973. So, my father was in charge of taking care of me when I was about 6, 7 years old on Christmas Day. And he was bored and decided that it'd be a great idea to go to the movies. So he took me to see The Exorcist when I was 7 years old. So then I got home, and we lived near the railroad track. I slept on a bunk bed on the top bed. So when the train went by, the bed shook. And the whole house heard me screaming as I jumped off that bed because I thought the devil was coming for me.
I can see that. Good job, Joe. All right, Abel. Yay.
Okay, I don't share the same enthusiasm of putting up lights like Chuck does.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
Closer to your mouth.
That's one thing I really don't like to do. It just puts me in a bad mood. Half the lights don't work, and then it's just horrible. So about 4 years ago, I decided, but my wife loves the lights. So 4 years ago, I decided, I'm gonna pay someone to do it, but I want my wife to know. So I started getting her and her mother to go on spa days, and she'd come home and she said, "Your lights look great." I go, "I think so." I never said I did it, okay, but she never asked either. So this year I did it again. Well, she gets home and the ladder's still up, because I let her borrow one of my ladders, and she says, "Can you please ask the guy that puts up the lights to start putting up the ladders?"
She
Wives
knows?
always
Oh,
know.
she knows now.
Oh.
Wives always know.
She knew the whole time. And I go, "You knew the whole time, why didn't you tell me?" She goes, "Well, me and my mom get a free spa day, what am I gonna say anything?"
I didn't know.
She found out.
Anyone else?
Anybody else?
Well, Christmas came, my father decided that, hello.
There you go.
My father decided that Christmas trees were too darn expensive, and he was gonna wait until Christmas Eve and go down to the tree lot and get the cheapest tree, and he was gonna be very proud of himself. So my mother looked skeptical, and sure enough, Christmas Eve came, we had no tree, and off he goes down to the tree lot. It was just a couple blocks away, and he was gone rather a long time, but he did come back with a tree, and he came in the house, and he said, well, I got my tree, and he picked it up and whacked it on the ground, and all the needles fell off. My mother insisted on trimming it anyway, and we had a very happy Christmas.
Good.
Thank you. You must have a story.
All right.
So I grew up in East Texas in Tyler, and my dad was the Santa in a little hut across the street from the courthouse. And he did that my whole lifetime. He started when he was in his late 20s because nobody in town would do that, and he just thought it was a shame that the children didn't have a Santa. So he was the Santa for the town, and I have hundreds of stories, and I have a lovely picture I'm happy to show you. Only story that comes to mind is, I bet you can know that many Santas, or at least my dad, we'll just say, my dad wore his duck hunting waders under his Santa suit. Can you guess why?
Oh, because of the kids?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Never thought about that.
Kids.
Yeah. I've only dressed like Santa one time and I scared the hell out of my kids. I never did it again. That makes sense though.
When my family was growing up in the Mississippi Delta on a plantation, my mother had a first cousin who was somewhat of a family reprobate. He didn't always do the right thing, but he somehow got away with it. Just before Christmas, my great-grandmother was going to have a big Christmas dinner and invite a lot of guests that she didn't usually have. And she was concerned about how my mother's cousin Jack was going to act. So they were having dinner and he did something wrong. This was the night before the big event. And she said, Jack, I don't want you doing that tomorrow night when we have company. And he said, oh, Grandmama, I'll act nice when we have nice people. She did not receive that happily.
You got another one?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, my husband and I were Mr. and Mrs. Claus in the Christmas parade. And the publicity was, come to the airport because Santa is coming in on an airplane tonight. What we actually did was get in a car and drive way out at the end of the runway. And the plane came in and everyone thought we were on it. But we actually weren't. We got out of the car and into the plane and it taxied up to the terminal. And that I always felt a little bad about fooling the kids like that. But, and also, I couldn't believe the whole town had come out. And I was just claustrophobic. They were just always around me. And my husband saved the day. He kind of scoodled everybody off, and because they wanted to talk to Santa, not me.
It's a cute story. All right, I've got a few more cartoons. Anybody else? One more in the back? Two more.
They asked the three wise men, why are your clothes all covered with ashes and soot? And they said, we just come from a farm.
Oh, got mixed reviews there, sorry.
I grew up in Dallas in the 1950s, and we had Christmas at my Aunt Georgie and Uncle Noble's house.
I had an uncle named Pete Cullum. He owned a restaurant in the Farmers Market District of Dallas, downtown Dallas. The roomers were in the back room, they ran numbers. But my father and other uncles thought it would be great fun to go to Woolworths and buy a really fancy diamond-looking ring and wrap it up and give it to Uncle Pete. And he opened it up and just said, oh my word. They set it up so that it came from his wife, whose name was Charm. And things went just real well. Everybody was having a great time until he realized it was a joke. And he got really pissed off and things turned sour from then on out.
I remember Woolworths. All right. Hey, Dad, some kid told me Santa Claus wasn't real. Huh?
It's not showing on.
Oh, it's not
this,
showing?
no.
Oh, sorry. Well, what did I do? Danny! Okay, let me try this. All right, I got you. We'll just restart. Gotcha. There's a lot of stuff in here. Okay, good. Gotcha? We gotcha. Okay, so hey Dad, some kid told me Santa Claus wasn't real. He said it's just you and Mom. Seriously? Well, I was hoping that we wouldn't have this conversation for a long time, but I guess I don't have much choice now. See, the truth is, Champ, a lot of kids suck. I knew it. Here's the bike I want. If you'll just fill in your credit card info, we can take care of this right now. The post-Christmas cleanup. We are way beyond needing to tidy up my house. I swear to God, at this point, we're just looking for survivors. Ours is the same way. We have 8 grandchildren, so you can imagine the piles of trash. Elf on the Shelf. What was supposed to happen? Every night, the elf flies to the North Pole and back, so when you wake up, he'll be in some wacky new place in the house. Wow. What inevitably happens? Hey, why didn't he move last night? Well, maybe the holidays are already exhausting, and he overextended himself when he decided to do this. Would you look at that? They're making a baby right in the front yard. It's disgraceful. There's now an app that counts down the days to Christmas. We had something similar when I was a kid. We called it a calendar. Fruitcake and I have a lot in common. Nobody really wants either of us over the holidays, but we show up just the same. If men were in charge of holiday decorations. Except for me, of course. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas, everybody. Let's have some food and beverage.